how do we base it on 55 million?
Yeah, you're gonna be somebody may go out and buy something more expensive.
Sure.
So you'll get more, right?
So basically what we do is we look at past collections on our SPLOST. So we look at how much money have we received over the past 6 years. And then we judge, are we looking for any upturns in the economy? We look at economic studies. What we also do is we look at any kind of ventures that are upcoming to the community. So right now we have, which unfortunately Mr. Gross wasn't able to attend, but Epic Adventures. We have the St. Mary's Marina Center here. We also have the spaceport that we're looking at doing. So there's a lot of opportunity within this community that will actually, what we're hoping and what we're expecting to see is a boom in our sales tax revenue. So the more visitors and tourists that we get here, the less of a burden it is on the county residents. So it's actually a really good benefit.
So what are you going to do with any extra?
With any extra, so if we over-collect, typically if you over-collect, there's really only one method that you can do with that. One of the things I'll tell you is trying to estimate a project 6 to 7 years in advance is very hard sometimes, and we're working on that right now with SPLOST VII. I'll tell you that, 2 of the projects I'm actually currently tasked with for the county, we did not actually have enough money to accumulate, so we're actually kind of having to pull from some of our other projects that maybe aren't getting as funded as they probably should be. It's very hard to, decipher exactly what the economy is going to do in the next 5 to 6 years. But I hope I answered your question. If I didn't,
good.
Yes, sir.
Is this presentation going to be on the county's website?
Yes, absolutely. We'll make it public. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, of the projection for SPLOST VII, how much has actually been collected with 7 months to go?
So with SPLOST VII, we had again it was a $65 million referendum, and I'll ask my my finance or our interim CFO back there, but just kind of correct me if I'm wrong. I think we're projected to be just over 42 million in actual collections for SPLOST VII. Okay, and the reason why your ballot is higher is because if you set your ballot too low and you over collect, the only way that you can truly do anything with it, it goes back to pay off any past debt. And that's basically a way of reducing the tax burden onto the taxpayers. So basically it just transfers back over into your general fund and you pay off any past debt. Or you lower the millage rate if you can. If there's no debt there, then you would lower the millage rate for that year or however many various years you would need to do so. Obviously, we're not going to see anywhere near $65 million on SPLOST VII. So, again, that's part of the reason why there's a decline in the referendum going from 65 million to 55 million. Now, we budget for SPLOST VIII to 47 million, which is why you see that $47 million figure within this PowerPoint. If we collected over 47 million, which it would actually be a really good benefit, we would actually be able to complete some of these projects to where they actually need to be, to make them true and whole. Then, that's kind of where some of that additional funds and additional proceeds would actually be split amongst the municipalities and the county and the PSA. Is there any other questions? Yes, sir.
Your list of prioritized items, number 4, property acquisition.
Yes, sir.
What was contained in that?
So for property acquisition, the county is envisioning, really, so there's a couple buildings on there. You have Department of Public Health, and you also have the Public Safety Complex. We need the land for those to be able to go on to. Currently, right now, within our property inventory, we do not have actually enough land for those to go on to, so that would be in conjunction with that.
Did you have a property acquisition listing in SPLOST VII?
We did, but it was only if we collected over 44 million, and that was $1.5 million, but I don't think we're going to reach that.
There's a question right there, Ms. Barber.
Hey, Ms. Barber. Yes, ma'am.
When there's a shortage, is it because of the hurricane? Is that what caused the shortage?
It could be a number of things. It could be an economic downturn. It could be, if we ever did have a catastrophic event, whether it be a hurricane or what have you. Studies have actually shown that if it is a major impact to the area, you will have a portion of those citizens that won't return. So that does hurt. You know, one of the biggest drivers, you know, is local populace, but whenever you get those tourists and you get those visitors, it does help. A growing economy helps. So the more we grow, the more sales tax revenue you'll generate, which means that it's easier to fund these projects. It's easier to really grow the economy with the rate that it's also growing as well, because every time the economy grows, we need to provide more water and sewer services. We need to provide more road transportation services, safer roads, different things of that nature. So it's really a complex venture, but you know, at the end of the day, it really all ties together. And it's just one of those, you know, I love this kind of stuff. So this is just kind of my bread and butter. I love being able to work on these complex projects and really try to give the best benefit to the citizens as I can. Yes, sir.
Just a reminder for everybody in St. Mary's, we have a debt for our water and sewer system. $40-some million yet to pay out for our new system that was built when the economy was really good and then it went south, and so we had this big debt. $9 million of what we're programming for SPLOST VIII will go to debt retirement. If we don't get that $9 million, that money has to come from someplace else. So, better to get from SPLOST VIII than increase our water sewer bills or what have you. Just remember that. It's so important for St. Mary's that we can put that $9 million towards that debt retirement.
See, we've got a couple more questions.
Sean, where was the public service complex you were talking about?
The public service as far as their respective projects
Yeah.
or their portion of the funding?
No, where was the physical location of this complex that you're talking about?
As far the land now, the public safety complex. So typically we haven't. I mean, we're in the process of trying to identify certain tracts of land that we could identify it on. You know, 9 times out of 10, those conversations are they're withheld just due to the property acquisition. We will confer with those in executive session. So at this time, I can't exactly say where it will be. But, you know, we're still in those conversations as far as where we can put it.
That's to replace the facility in downtown Kingston?
Yes, sir, that's correct. We'll still own that facility as a backup, and it can be used for other various purposes, but, you know, really and truthfully, that building, it was a post office at one time. It is not set up, you know, in the event that a Category 5 were to hit Camden, and again, I know that's a major event that, you know, we're kind of throwing out there, but a lot of your EOC centers and what we're actually proposing would actually be built to a Category 5 to be able to withstand that. So, yes, sir.
It's not a question, it's just a statement. Jim can't tell you to do this, but I can. I'm gonna try to assist you. I assume most everybody in this room is in favor of the SPLOST. So if you're in favor of the SPLOST, like you said, the government officials cannot campaign for passage of the SPLOST. So you as a private citizen can get involved. Get involved by writing letters to the editor, the paper, or whatever you need to do. But you need to get involved, make sure this thing passes.
Any last questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
My thing is, I think there has to be better education, because when I came down here today, I was thinking this was sort of like a statewide routine, and I'm thinking transportation, and my perception was, okay, I'm paying this extra money, and I see only construction around Atlanta, and so that was my perception. I'm against it because of that perception. Now, this has opened my eyes. How many other people in the county are in the same boat I was in? Not really understanding what the SPLOST's for.
I wish I knew the answer to how many citizens we had, because I would try to reach out to them. You know, it is one of those things where we do try to educate as much as we can. It's often hard for us to reach out to every individual within the county, and I think we do a lot better job than some of the other counties that I've actually seen and actually worked with. So, you know, we will try to make this as available as possible. We're actually working on it right now on our website. so we can actually make sure, and I know Mr. Canning, he actually has a SPLOST VIII website as well. We'll also share this PowerPoint to where he can put it on his, and hopefully all the other municipalities, they will have it on theirs as well. We're working on some other fact sheets that we can get out to the public. So again, you know, we're trying to get it out there as much as possible. I know the chamber, they're going to be doing their efforts to try to help us. So, you know, again, if anybody feels like there's an area that's lacking with, you know, needs of SPLOST information, please feel free to let us know. I brought my business cards here. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask me off-site, please feel free to give me a phone call or an email, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. And I'll, you know, again, if there's any other questions, feel free to ask. Yes, sir.
I'm don't understand a lot of things that I read in the paper, or you sit around the kitchen table trying to decipher some of this stuff. And I'm probably reading it wrong, but there's been talk that SPLOST is going to do something with the terrific tax burden that the PSA came up with, and how much money it owes the IRS and all that. Is the SPLOST money going to be going to them for that? Because if they are, I'm definitely not in favor of that.
The SPLOST money cannot be spent on any kind of, you know, past, whether it's paying off general fund or anything like that. It can only be used for capital outlay purchases alone. So it would actually be meant and intended for, you know, updating and upgrading our recreational facilities, whether it's the building, the parks themselves, you know, even some equipment that the PSA might need to operate with, whether it's lawnmowers, trucks, trailers, different things like that. So that is what SPLOST is intended for. You know, I am with each and every one of you all here. I think, you know, exactly what happened with the PSA was very unfortunate. However, I do feel like we do have the right leaders in place now. I feel like Mr. Joey Kaysen, which is with us today, he's our new PSA director. He is really doing a phenomenal job with the PSA and getting them turned around. Our actual finance director at the time, Ms. Nancy Gonzalez, she was very instrumental in you know, finding the issues at PSA and really, you know, assisting them throughout that time. And, you know, again, I just think that, you know, with time, you know, we can heal that wound. So, you know, but again, SPLOST is only meant for capital outlay purchases.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Don't forget, I have applications if anybody needs one for absentee ballots.
Ms. Heath?
Yes, I would like to say just a little bit about Woodbine, and I hope I can get the facts, you know, the way I understand them, and perhaps someone can fill in if this is not quite right. In the past, Woodbine has received about 7% or some little bit more of SPLOST because the county facilities in the city, and we're a 2-mile square city, we can't collect property taxes on the county properties. So we had received a little bit more of SPLOST to help compensate for that. This year, money is going to PSA, and Woodbine's cut has been cut down to about 2%. Now, you talked about reducing debt on sewer plants. Woodbine, with SPLOST VII, has been paying off the debt for that plant, and very soon, I hope, we will be beyond the debt on our plant. Our plant serves the county structures, because the county does not own any water sewer. So that's how Woodbine has been using its SPLOST money, is actually to provide services for the greater Camden County and all of the people in the county. So that's where some of the unsettled feelings come from in Woodbine. And we, you know, for the county as a whole, the things that are being presented, it seems like a wonderful way to serve this whole county. But that's where the unsettled feeling in Woodbine comes from, is seeing our percentage and the SPLOST reduced. Because we're about, what, 1,200 people, but yet we are the county seat of this county, and we are very proud to be that county seat. So I would like to point out to you that on your table, you have a little flyer for Woodbine Public Library. We are trying very hard to show what Woodbine can do to strengthen economically the north end of our county. So come support us in Woodbine. You will be amazed at this storytelling. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ethan. I do want to follow up to Ms. Heath's comments. You know, she is right. Woodbine is receiving a smaller amount than what they have typically seen in the past, and the reason for that is because the county commission is very adamant about having a true and fair population distribution. So in SPLOST VII, as it stands right now, per capita wise, which means really per citizen, Woodbine is actually receiving around $1,800 per citizen, whereas the other two municipalities in the county is only receiving around $630 per citizen. So again, that's a really big difference there, and even in SPLOST VIII, they're still expected to receive more, actually just over $1,000 per capita, whereas the county and the other two cities are sitting somewhere around $670. So I think there's still a good benefit for Woodbine there, that they're actually getting a better portion of the SPLOST than, you know, what the true per capita number is. And even on the top of the water and sewer, we actually do pay those bills. So we get bills just like everybody else does, and we do pay those, which actually goes back into Woodbine, you know, for them to be able to operate their water and sewer services. So I just wanted to follow up with that just to kind of clear that up. Any other questions?
They saw me come up here, so they...
Alrighty. It's Mr. Anto's turn. Again, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to come out and speak. Thank you so much. You've been a wonderful crowd, and we look forward to assisting you all in the future. I think I have one left back there.
All right, Bill, you got the last question.
I would just like to say that I think the staff here at Lane's has done a remarkable job with overwhelming crowd, and I really appreciate what you all have done.
Thank you, Bill. That's good to know. I'm sure there's some negative to offset that, but we've got a whole year to work through that. But I agree. Now, one of the things I want to make, you know, with the payment, we haven't got a system yet. So they were saying, well, everybody just come out there and pay. And I said it'll be chaos with all of us standing in line. So they're trying to come around. So I would say maybe by table, we start in the back and then start to make our way through there. It might prevent just a whole bunch of people out there doing that. So before I leave you, again, a big hand for Sean and Kenneth. It's certainly an eye-opener when I hear it and understand that this is not a new tax. It's a matter of allocation of taxes that are already collected, and we want to get our share of it. Our speaker our next meeting is February 5th. February 5th? February 5th. They say it 3 times, and it might stick.
We can remember.
Now, some of us can, but some of us can't. Now I've forgotten who oh yeah, it's the...
February 5th.
If Pete hadn't interrupted me, I would have known it. What date is it? What day is the next meeting?